4 to 8 targets that are related are reasonable. 15 to 20 get out of hand. So when you're doing your 6-month planning, you're prioritizing. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome to this week's edition of Life of a CISO with yours truly. Dr. Eric Cole is in the house. Woo-woo! All right, how's everyone doing today? I am doing great. I just love spending some time with you in the studio, talking about being a world-class CISO, sharing some lessons, giving you some coaching, giving you some advice, and helping to push you a little bit to take you to that next level. I want to start off this episode of Life of a CISO with a question that I asked a couple of my coaching clients, because I have some new coaching clients I'm working with this week, and many of them were like, Eric, I just don't feel like I sort of have a direction or a goal or a this or a that. And so I asked them a simple question. Where are you going? And they sort of looked at me. I said, where are you currently going? I said, let me explain. If we continue the current path, that we look at where you've been for the last 6 months, and we draw that out for another week, another month, another quarter, another year, where do you end up? Where are you ultimately going? And the problem is, many folks, we don't know. We really don't. We don't have a clear target. It's like we get in our car and our goal each day is, I need to drive around for 8 hours. So you sort of drive around and maybe you do the same route every day. Maybe you do different routes every day. But the point is, you always end up back where you started. So yes, after a week, a month, a year, you've driven 40, 50, 60,000 miles on your car. But you haven't gotten anywhere, right? You haven't arrived at where you want to go because you don't have a clear destination. So what I'm really asking is, what is the current objective of your life? Where do you want to be in 6 months? What is that target that you're aiming for? Because if you don't have a target, you're going to miss it every single time. One of the things I do enjoy, people always ask, Eric, do you have any hobbies? I'm like, it depends on what you call hobbies. I mean, I do love working out and exercising. I guess you can call that a hobby. I do Krav Maga. I guess you could call that a hobby, right? I love reading. I guess you can call that a hobby. And I do enjoy a good movie. I do have to say, I really enjoy a really good action movie. I just sort of get you disconnected a little bit, get you a little focus, get you all pumped up and stuff. Plus, who can't beat popcorn with artificial butter? Whatever that stuff is in the movie theater, it's magical, right? A good tub of butter, a good tub of popcorn with butter, it's amazing. But what I always find is, I also love short little scenes, little lessons, or little one-liners from movies, right? That's sort of what I always like getting out of it. And sometimes you find them in the most unexpected places. Like one of my favorite one-liners is from Pirates of the Caribbean. The original Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know if you remember, but it's near the beginning of the movie where Captain Jack Sparrow and I forget the other character, they have a canoe upside down and they're underwater and they're walking to steal a boat. The one guy looks at Captain Jack Sparrow and says, "This is either the most brilliant or the most craziest, dumbest idea I've ever had." And Captain Jack Sparrow looks at him and goes, it's amazing how often those two words have been used together lately, right? And I love that because it's true. To push the envelope, ideas are either brilliant or crazy or dumb, right? It's sort of what, either this is going to be the best, most brilliant thing I've ever done, or this is just going to be a disaster, right? So I that's one of my favorite one-liners. So that's not the lesson here. What I'm getting at is my favorite little scene. One of my favorite little scenes from movies is from Bad Boys for Life. I know you get inspiring lessons in life from the most bizarre movies. Who would have thought Bad Boys for Life, right, would have one of the most inspiring messages? But there's a scene where Will Smith is sitting with the captain watching basketball. And the captain proceeds to tell Will Smith a story that I'll repeat. He goes, there's a monk high up in the mountains, and he's walking down this trail. And he's walking down the trail, and it's a fairly narrow trail because it's going down the mountains. And as he's walking down the trail, he notices this person on a horse rapidly approaching. And the horse is just going everywhere, and the monk has to like dive into the bushes to avoid being trampled over by the horse. So the monk gets up and screams at the guy on the horse saying, "Where are you going?" And the guy looks back and says, "I don't know. Ask the horse." And it sounds weird, but then he goes on to explain. The horse represents our fears and our anxieties and our uncertainties. And what I love about that, I know it's such a deep message for Bad Boys for Life, but what I love about that is that's how many of us are living life. We're letting fears, anxieties, and other things take control. And they're taking us on this wild ride where we have no idea what we're doing, where we're going, and we've almost lost total control. And I find when I work with a lot of CISOs, that's what often happens, and here's why. A lot of the people that I coach want to become a CISO. So they have a clear target. Right? They want to be a CISO, and I refine that target saying, give me more specificity. Because do you really want to be a CISO for a 5-person company where the CISO does CISO work 1 hour a month? And they said, well, no. I said, okay, so you just don't want to be anti-CISO. You just don't want the CISO title. And they're like, well, no. Like, so give me more. What kind of CISO do you want to be? And as we work through it, we got a lot more clarity. They want to be a chief information security officer at a company that's $100 million or more, reporting directly to the COO or CFO, where they are in charge of all cybersecurity. Isn't that a much clearer picture? Isn't that much a clearer target? The analogy I give is if I asked you, what are you going to do this summer? And you say, I want to go on a vacation. I say, great. Any vacation? And you're like, yeah, I don't care. I just want to go on a vacation. Great. So if I send you out in the desert in 110 degrees in a tent with no food for a week by yourself, is that good? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, but that technically is a vacation, right? You're away from work. You don't have any computers, and you're not being bothered by anybody. So that sort of fit your loose definition. Like, well, no. I'm like, so give me some specifics. That's why when you talk to most people, they go, I'm going on a 7-day Caribbean cruise. Or we're going to Hawaii and staying at the Hilton Resort. Notice what happens just listening when you add clarification and details. don't you get a little more excited? Don't you get a little more embrace that I'm going on a vacation versus I'm going on a 7-day Caribbean cruise? So when you're looking at setting a target, you want to have specificity. So I get these folks that want to become a CISO. They don't know how. One of the problems is they don't know what they want. They just say CISO, so we get clarification. We get them very, very clear on their target. 100 million plus revenue. You're reporting to the COO, CFO, and your total control of security. Boom. And within 2 or 3 months, it happens. And they're happy, and they're thrilled. And many times, because we accomplished the goal, or we accomplished what they wanted, they end the coaching, which is great. They had a vague target. I created a clear target. We hit the target. Boom, I'm good with that. But then here's what I've been noticing. Those clients disappear 3, 4, 5 months, right? Depends on how quickly the realization occurs. And then I usually get a call back, which is something along the lines of, Eric, all I wanted for the last 5 years was to be a CISO. And I became a CISO. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But now I sort of feel lost and a little confused and unfulfilled. And I'm just not sure sort of what I'm doing and where I'm going. And it goes back to that question. Where are you going? They don't know. And the reason is this. They forgot to set another target. They forgot to set another goal or outcome. The way we are driven as human beings is our brain needs to have something to accomplish. If you don't give it a clear focused target, it will create one. And usually the one it creates is fear, anxiety, frustration. Right? Because it doesn't know any better. That's all it knows as a protective mechanism. So we want to make sure that we're doing clear targets. Now, there are tons and tons of stuff out there that you can read on targets. Some say 5-year. I'm actually experimenting with 90-year. Yeah, I always, as you know, I basically try things out on me and see if they work, and then if they do, I teach it to you. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, I've actually this week set 90-year goals, right? And the idea behind it is this: if you give your brain these audacious, crazy goals, maybe it'll just achieve them in a lot quicker time because you're giving it something to focus on and achieve. And very often, when people set 90-year goals, they'll sometimes accomplish them in 10, 11 years a lot quicker than you think. So I'm experimenting with that. Don't go there yet. Right? Don't go there. I'm going to do the other extreme. And then you hear people about 5-year goals, 1-year goals. To me, the problem that people have with setting targets, and I notice the word I'm using, a target and not a goal. Because to me, a target is something you want to hit. It's a destination. And that, to me, is much crisper and cleaner. The problem with goals is they change. So I talk to folks about goal setting, and they're like, yeah, in January, I set my yearly goals. But then February and March, I changed them again because I really didn't want that. And I changed this and I changed it. And then it becomes this big confusing pot of, I don't really know what I want because it's too far off in the future for me to really get concrete about. So what I found works well for starting off, and especially for world-class CISOs, is let's get clear about a 6-month target. So with the company you're at right now, what are 1 or 2 6-month targets you want to hit in the business? One of them is to meet with the CEO every week. Great. Actually, for a CISO, that's a really good 6-month target. It is achievable, and it's something you can accomplish. Now, remember, I want to meet with the executives, which is vague, like I want to go on vacation, versus notice my specific version of it. I want to meet with the CEO once a week. And if you really want to get more specific, for a minimum of 30 minutes. So what I'm always looking at for your 6-month targets are smarter, specific, measurable, achievable, risky, time-based, exciting, and relevant. And I do a slightly different than the normal one. I want you to push it a little bit. I don't want it to be something that's super easy or simple. I want to push it, but also something that you can obtain. So that's a really good one. Because to be a world-class CISO, you have to be trusted by the CEO. And to be trusted by the CEO, you need to meet with them at least once a week. So that's a good target. Then, what's another good target for a CISO? Another good target for a CISO is to brief the executive board at every board meeting. Typically, those are quarterly. So essentially, it's 6 months. So you want to brief the board at the next 2 board meetings. Every board meeting, there should be 15, 20 minutes set aside for cybersecurity. So if we really want to do our smarter, 20-minute scheduled on the agenda security brief at every executive board meeting. So that's another really good target for a CISO. Now you can come up with others, right? But notice we're getting some very clear targets, and usually we want about 2 for business. Now, just filling you in, because I know you're all world-class, and to be world-class, you have to have 360 lifestyle, 360 visibility, which means your body, your mind, your relationships, and your business must all be working in sync. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're unhealthy and you're going to be put in the hospital or ICU, it's going to be really hard to achieve those goals. How are you going to meet with the CEO if you're in the hospital? So you need to have body taken care of. And if you are in really bad relationship that's draining your energy every day and you're not focused, it's also going to be really hard for you to be effective. So I actually, just letting you in, I set 6-month goals across 4 areas. Business, which we talked about, body, personal, and relationships. So those are basically 4 areas I am focused on every 6 months. So for example, with body, one of the things that I want is the next 6 months is to get full body scan. Because I do blood work quarterly now, but there could still be things going on in the brain and the organs. And by doing a full scan, you can get better visibility into what's happening. And I'm a big fan that all medical conditions are treatable if they're detected early. I also believe that if you wait to have physical symptoms, it's usually too late. So that's one of my body goals there. One of my being or mindset goals is, and I know for some of you that know me, this is like, are you kidding? But it's what my coach is telling me, that I need to learn to chill out a little bit. That I need to be a little zen here. So I'm actually signing up for a 3-day. For those of you that know me, I can't even get it out with a straight face because it's so not me. But I trust my coach, and I do see the value of it, is a 3-day meditation course. Yes, I promise, well, I can't promise that I won't come back with a man bun, right, and flip-flops on, but yeah, so that's one of my 6-month goals on mindset, that because I need to learn to just sort of be able to control and chill out a little bit. And then other 6-month goal is my son is graduating, and basically potentially going to be moving out of the state. So I want to spend time with him where we basically, date night sounds silly with the son, right, with the daughter, but basically where we go out to dinner every week for the next 6 months. So this way, once again, just continue to support him, help him, and let him know that I'm with him the entire way as he gets to his next chapter in his life. So those are just examples. But point is, I'm focused on making you a world-class CISO, but I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you got to do the other areas, because you can't neglect those. So typically, I have 6-month target, and I have 4 to 8 targets, 1 to 2 in each area. Now, I always get pushback, but Eric, what if I have more? Those could do next 6 months. Remember, the reason why I like 6 months is because it's long enough that you can accomplish something. I used to do 3 months. It's too short. It's really hard to do something in 90 days. And I used to do a year. The problem with the year is it's too long. You change your mind. So to me, 6 months it's just 6 months. You just need to commit and focus in for 6 months. That's it. But once you're locked, you can't change. So 1 to 2. If it's big, it's 1. If they're small, you can do 2. No more than 2. And here's the reason. 4 to 8 targets that are related are reasonable. 15 to 20 get out of hand. So when you're doing your 6-month planning, you're prioritizing. You're saying, what are the 1 or 2 most important items in these areas? And if they require more attention, you do 1, but no more than 2. So now you have your 6-month targets across business, body, mindset, and relationships. And you lock them in for 6 months. I don't care what happens. These you decided were important. You spent a lot of time, you spent a lot of focus. You decided they are critical and they are important, and they're locked in. They cannot change. We will not change. We will hit these targets. Now, you can think of new targets for the next 6 months and keep them on a list, right? But you're locked in now. So now as a CISO for business and those other areas, you have your targets locked and loaded. Now what I want you to do is say, okay, for me to accomplish those targets, and I'm going to just hone in on business because we're talking about world-class CISO, but you do the same exercise for each of those 4 areas. You say, okay, to meet those targets, what do I need to do in the next month? Because really, it's 6-month targets, so you really have 6 slots. But I'm only focused on the next 30 days. You don't want to overthink this. You don't want to get too crazy. So what are the next things I need to do over the next month to get me in position to hit those targets in 6 months? And for example, if we're using our 2 that we talked about, I might need to start rebuilding the relationship with the CEO because he does not see me as a business leader. He or she does not see me as a business leader, and they don't see me as a CISO. They see me as a technical expert. So for the next 30 days, I'm going to send an email once a week to the CEO and a separate one to the COO. So 2 emails a week to CEO, COO, asking a very specific business question that I'd like to get additional details from. Now, question. If once a week I send the CEO an email, and I do 4 of those, and once a week I create a separate email to the COO or CFO, pick whoever you want, and I do that. And that's what I do for the next month. Will that get me closer to hitting to that goal? Yes. So first test, will it get me closer? Now here's the real one. Will it get me there fast enough? Because remember, I'll have 6 months. Now this is month 1, so you still have 5 more months to go. I believe it will, because if you can get that fixed and addressed, that is the most critical thing that's needed to move forward. So great. Now I have my monthly goals, and I do that, what a surprise, once a month. So the end of each month, usually the 30th or 31st, I'll spend a couple of hours, I'll block it out, and I'll look at my 6-month goals. I'll look at where I'm at, how many months I have left, and I'll come up with very clear monthly goals. Those are locked. Those do not change. Those are locked and loaded. Then I like doing it on a Sunday morning. Do what works for you, Saturday or even during the week. But then every week, every Saturday, I then go in and I look at my monthly goals and say, okay, what do I need to do this week to meet my monthly goals? This week, I need to send an email to the CEO. I need to send an email to the COO. Those are two things I have to do this week to meet my monthly goal to get me closer to my 6-month goal. Great. So now I have that. Then every morning when I wake up, I look at the weekly goals and I say, what do I need to do today to meet those weekly goals? Now, here's the cool part. Now you're in control. So it's Monday. I could send the email to the CEO and COO both on Monday. But if I want to research it, I want to do the proper work, recognizing I still have a full-time job. So I look at my calendar for Monday and I say, okay, I have a bunch of podcasts and meetings and interviews that take up about 7 hours. I'm not really going to have the time to do that. So basically, Monday, I'm just going to do what's on my calendar. I'm going to do what's needed, the maintenance stuff that I need to move forward. But I fully recognize now that's saving me 4 days to accomplish those two goals. So then by Tuesday, if I do the same, I better start realizing, hey, I can't do this every day. I need to free up time Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday to get those goals done. So now it's getting your mind to think about and start scheduling that into your calendar. And then once you go in and get your daily goals aligned with your weekly goals, that align with your monthly, that align with your 6 months, now can you see how the magic happens? It's not that hard. Right? It's not that hard. I had somebody once go, it seems complicated. I said, to be honest with you, if what I just described seems complicated, either you're not listening or I need to reconsider my teaching skills. Because think about it. You're coming up in business with 1 or 2 6-month targets that are specific, measurable, achievable, risky, time-based, exciting, and relevant. Boom. Then each month, you come up with monthly goals that are tied to the 6-month goals. Then every week you come up with weekly goals. And then you just do each of those on a daily basis. It doesn't get much simpler, right? I mean, talk about a brilliant system. And now you're rocking and rolling. Because now you're making progress. Each day you feel like you're moving forward towards those goals. You're making daily progress, weekly progress, monthly, and then you hit those 6-month targets and you repeat. And now all of a sudden, you don't have to be that scene from Bad Boy 2 going, where are you going? Because you're in control. You can answer the question. Here's my 6-month goals. That's where I'm going. Now, because you're world class, I'm going to add one more component. And the one more component is this. This process I just laid out to you isn't consuming your entire life. As you just saw in my example, to meet one goal, you had to send 2 emails out a week. That even with thinking, planning, revising, everything else, like let's say it's 1.5 hours per email, it's 3 hours. So to achieve your 6-month goals initially is 3 hours a week, right? Or 45 minutes a day, right? We're not talking all-encompassing because we recognize that you still have a job, you still have a life, you still have other things to do. But here's where if you just want to get like totally magical, where you're like crushing 6-month goals in 2 months, I usually, even though I try to make them so aggressive, because I have this process down, and I do this last piece I'm going to share with you as I wrap up, is I'm often meeting my 6-month goals in 2 or 3 months. You're just crushing them because it works. And here's the secret sauce to make it all work. Before you spend an hour of your time or $1 of your budget, before you do anything, always ask yourself, is this moving me closer to my 6-month goals? Is this activity that I'm partaking on right now going to move me closer to achieving my 6-month goals? And if the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, then why are you doing it? Why are you putting energy and effort against that? Why in the world are you spending time doing it? What is the purpose? What is the objective? If your 6-month goals are on track and targeted, then why are you doing anything that's misaligned? And it really starts raising your awareness level, and you start realizing that there's a lot of wasted time, energy, and effort. And that's why when you ask that last question, is the accelerator. Because now you're setting up for 6-month targets and you're doing 3 hours or 4 hours a week to hit 6 months. But when you start questioning everything you do, saying, is this taking me closer? And you're realizing you're saying no, 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 so you don't do it and say, what will take me closer? That's why, because you're now putting in more energy and effort, and you're doing what was supposed to take a month and a week, and was supposed to take 3 months and a month, and was supposed to take 6 months and 2 months. You're accelerating it down because you're focusing all your energy and effort into that one area. So a lot of people ask me for, okay, Dr. Cole, I want to be world-class. Give me some tactical things. Here you go. I just gave you a tactical breakdown where you go in 6-month targets, 1-month target, week target, daily. And then the secret sauce is, before you start any activity, ask, is this moving me closer to my 6-month target? And if the answer is not yes, you should question whether you should do it. Now, you still might need to do it as a support role, but here's the most important one. If the answer is, it's taking me away from my 6-month target, you should absolutely not do it. And just to wrap up, that is my constant battle with Haagen-Dazs every evening. When I have that nice, I love ice cream, I have that nice pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and I ask, will it take me closer? Because I'm doing another mini cut. Will it take me closer to my 6-month goal? Not only will it not, but it will take me away from my 6-month goal. And I have to put the cap back on, put it back in the freezer, and save it for my kids. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Life of a CISO, and I'll see you next week.